What's
Right.
going on, guys?
So, Mark, great that you could make it to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is well, awesome. Where are you guys at?
Yeah, cool. So, Ivan and Charlie, he's got no idea where you are in the world. So, just high level, who are
Yeah,
you
we're
guys?
we're in Sweden right now.
And Dad's in London.
Yeah,
And
okay.
you are.
I'm in San Diego,
San Diego.
California.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'll just introduce to the podcast. We use just over half an hour, and we'll just improvise. We have some questions, but more open conversation. Are you okay with that?
Sure. Let me get all of your names down so I'm not completely
Perfect.
clueless as per usual.
So we got Ivan, typical Spetsnaz name.
Got it. Check. Ivan. Which one's Ivan?
Hey,
Yeah.
Cool.
Black shirt. Nice to meet you, Ivan.
thank you.
And Charlie, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Charlie.
Hmm?
Nice to meet you, Charlie.
Thanks.
Perfect.
And you're Frank, right? And you're-
Fredrik and Mark.
So, Dad, so you're going to do the intro.
Yeah, I'll do a quick intro to the actual podcast, and
And then I can ask the first question.
exactly, that's fine. And also, Mark, you're super welcome to talk about, for example, your forthcoming book, many other things. We'll give you extra time towards the end if we haven't covered that at all.
Sure.
And we are really here to serve you to get your message to the world. So, is there something particular you like to talk about?
No, whatever interests you guys. I'm all game.
Perfect.
I'm
yes.
interested in what you're actually doing with the Sealfit stuff.
Yeah. We'll come to that. So, Mark, I've been in the same as the Navy SEALs, but without the parachute in Sweden for
Okay.
10 years or 16 years in total with the forces, and then intelligence in the end. So, yeah, similar experience most likely.
Good for you.
All right.
Awesome. Are
Cool.
we going to keep video on, I guess? Or
Yeah, please.
yeah?
Video would be great if you're okay with that.
Of course. You bet.
Perfect. All right. And we might use both in different shapes and forms. Okay, gentlemen, everyone ready?
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast Invest in You. Today, we've got a special guest all the way from America, Mark Devine, and he is former commander with the Navy SEALs, and I can't wait to get in to share some of his experiences. And who else is on the call from Sweden?
Me and Ivan.
Right, so great. So high level, Mark Devine, he's a best-selling author. He has been with the Navy SEALs for a number of years. He has also written many books that you can find on Amazon, and he's got his YouTube channel, quite a big following, called Sealfit, but we'll give him many chances to talk about himself. So Ivan, over to you.
Okay, Mark, if you have to explain, what is Sealfit in your own words?
Even thanks very much. Super nice to meet you, buddy. Sealfit is a training regimen and a mindset that is essentially designed to help individuals get physically, mentally, and emotionally fit at the level appropriate to operate at with an elite unit like the SEALs. Originally, back in 2006, 2007, I designed the program to prepare Navy SEAL candidates to get through their training here in the United States, which is the most arduous training that we have for a special ops unit, and arguably one of the more interesting and innovative training programs for all special ops around the world, and many techniques have been borrowed and modeled. And so I designed the program, Ivan, to actually prepare SEAL candidates, and it was very effective. The trainees who come through our training, 90% of them were getting through SEAL training and doing it with a smile. And then the program expanded to be open to any civilian, any athlete or individual who was willing to put in the time to train at that level, which was an uncommon level, right? One of our programs is 50 hours of nonstop physical, mental, and emotional team training, no sleep, just around the clock, and that's modeled after the Navy SEALs' infamous Hell Week.
Perfect.
So I hope that helps you understand kind of what it's about. It's not for the weak of heart or the faint of heart. The training is extremely transformational, though, because our intention is to have people enter the program at one level of development and then egress the program literally as a different individual, someone who has transformed themselves, particularly at the emotional level, and the ability to connect and really understand what it means to be a good teammate and to support a team. And they understand that you can't, get through the hardest situations in life alone. You often have to ask for help, and you have to understand your strengths and weaknesses so you can leverage your strengths for the team, but also shore up your weaknesses through the help of your teammates. So, these are experiences that a lot of people have difficulty finding or exposing themselves to in our world, because, we've, especially in the Western world, kind of grown up thinking that the individual is the center of the universe and that we can solve all our own problems. And that's just simply not true, as I'm sure you guys are aware, even at your young age.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, well, just hearing that brings back many memories to my first weeks with the military, so I can completely relate to that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's that type of training, although not for everyone, is extremely valuable. And I'm a big proponent of everyone finding some form of crucible as a rite of passage to really help them understand some of these principles. And without that, then, you could go through your whole life, you're kind of missing some really essential truths about how to live well as a human being, and also to deepen your connection with others. And so you can get stuck behind a little wall of ego without breaking that ego down at a younger age.
And I'm super pleased to have Ivan and Charlie on board on the podcast, because they are 14 and 15, to have very experienced people like yourself, Mark, to hear about life experiences, really distilled into a few sentences. That's super powerful. So I'm very grateful that you're on board and sharing your thoughts. So Ivan and Charlie, we can't talk about the specifics, obviously, about, for example, military operation. What would you like to know about a Navy SEAL? Any of you have got a specific question around that?
Well, with this training, how much is mental and how much is physical? Great question.
Well, mental, physical, emotional actually all co-arise. And so it's really difficult to say, X percent is physical and X percent is mental, even though some people will say, 80% is mental. Well, that's just a platitude. Physical, mental, and emotional, like I said, all co-arise in that the emotional is expressed through the felt experience of the body. And the stronger and more fit and more prepared your body is, then the more controlled your emotions are going to be, right? So you could say that the physical preparation actually supports the mental and emotional strength that you have in the SEAL training. Having said that, if you were to look at the training and say, well, what's the basic prerequisite to get in the front door? It's going to be physical fitness. And so everybody who starts training in a SAS or SEAL type program is, by the very definition of the prerequisites, going to be physically fit and capable, theoretically capable of making it through the program. Now, of course, you could say some are more prone to injuries, less durable, don't have the endurance, whatever, but largely that comes down to the mental side, which is in the preparation. Did you prepare your body in a complete sense? Like with Sealfit training, we look at 5 physical domains: strength, stamina, the capacity to do a lot of work in a short period of time, which is sort of like CrossFit style training, really high intensity, short bursts, endurance, and durability. Now that last one is one that a lot of training programs just kind of gloss over. They don't understand it, or they just don't do it. For us, durability is one of the most important aspects of being a military special operator. And that's like being able to carry a lot of shit around,
Yes.
right? And not get injured, right? So you might be like hiking, right, Fredrik, for 20 miles or 20 clicks with, 70, 80 pounds in your back, carrying a weapon in one arm, and you're in boots and pants and going over, rocks and rugged terrain. And if you haven't trained your body to do that, then it's easy to get injured, right? A back injury, knee injuries, hip injuries, those things tend to really put people out of commission. So you can train that durability. That's a big part of the physical training. But as you can imagine, training durability sucks. It's hard work. And so that by its very nature starts to forge mental toughness and resiliency, which is the ability to persevere, the ability to keep going even when the suffering sets in. So you get comfortable being uncomfortable. You get comfortable with suffering because you understand it's making you stronger, more durable, and which means you'll be able to accomplish your mission, whether it's getting through training or a real world mission. And then this piece that we started this whole conversation with is, these training preparation is best done with a team, a swim buddy, and you really have to rely on each other. You have to be open in your communication. You have to set your ego aside. We have to be able to ask for help and to be able to receive sometimes fierce criticism of our, behavior and or critique, I should say, of our behavior and our performance, and not take that personally. So therein lies the emotional development. And that is also another reason why a lot of people fail in training programs like the SEALs or in anything hard in life, is because the emotional control, they get frustrated, they get depressed because they don't see they're making progress. They can't overcome the failures, which inevitably show up throughout the training.
Yep.
And instead of seeing them as, minor obstacles that they can learn and grow from, they see them as major inflection points that are a go, no-go criteria, and they quit. So the physical, mental, and emotional are all equal part and parcel of the experience, but you can train them in a way that they all strengthen together, right? So you wouldn't necessarily go out and train emotional development without doing hard things with your team. If you want to be a military special operator, you want to do things that are going to cause emotional challenges while you're moving your body, while you're carrying things, while you're, forging mental toughness. Do you see what I'm saying? They kind of go hand in glove.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Have you heard of David Goggins? Because he's really like
I know David,
and the mindset and all of that. I've read his book. Have you?
Yeah, his book is great. It's called Can't Hurt Me. And it's really about his life and how he persevered from, extremely rough childhood with an abusive father, and, he's, witnessed murder and just really, really challenging childhood, and even failed in his first attempt to go through pararescue, which is the Air Force medical, flying medics, essentially parachuting medics. And he had to lose a lot of weight, and basically he just kept on persevering until he finally made it into the SEALs, and he became this like intense driven endurance athlete, and he routinely goes out and runs 100-mile races and whatnot. But you're right, he's good. He's great at basically pointing out that it's the mind that really drives the body, and even when the body hits where you think the wall is, you're always capable of 30 to 40% more. I love the story of his, where his first 100-mile race, he finds that his legs are broken, at like mile 75 or 80. And he says, screw it. He just keeps on running 1 mile after another. Goggins is a great guy.
It's common sometimes to have all of these injuries in both operations, but also especially in training, we try to force yourself to move the boundaries. One thing that stuck with me from all the time was how the officers, including myself later, I was an officer, kind of like teased and tempted people to like, are you sure you don't want to quit? It's very easy to quit. I'm sure you don't want to have this burger here. How do you relate to that in a training scenario?
Yeah, well, that's kind of a tactic. We use a lot of different tactics to try to evoke weakness or evoke moments of questioning, where the individual can then, take a look or be confronted with an emotional challenge, right? And so when it's, when you're cold and miserable and you've been up for hours, and suddenly the instructors are there saying, hey, hot coffee and donuts for the quitters, or the first person, to quit will secure the training. And so someone thinks they're doing everyone a favor by quitting. And then they have all that regret associated with it. So it's an opportunity to expose an emotional weakness. And then, in that moment of choice, the individual has the opportunity to see it as an object, to see that what is coming up, which is being, artificially induced by this kind of clever instructor, is an opportunity to get stronger. And if they take that opportunity, then they'll never be swayed by that, by that potential weakness again in the future. If they don't overcome it, then oftentimes they will quit, and they'll have to.
It's better that they quit in the training than in operation for sure.
Yeah, that's true, and that's part of the thinking here. You want teammates who you can absolutely trust. In order to know that you're going to trust them in combat, you got to poke and prod and expose those weaknesses in training.
One thing about Ivan's training when he's doing his 5K, like personal best kind of running, I think he's pushing himself too hard, but that's not really the right thing to say to him. Ivan, would you like to explain like your Sunday routine to Mark?
Well, I can tell you what I was doing when it was kind of at its peak. So I was training for a national championship in Taekwondo, which is a martial art.
Yeah,
and I was really behind in the cardio and the conditioning. And so one thing I did to remedy that is after like 3 months of a lot of running, I did 35 days straight of a maximum 5-kilometer run.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how'd that go for you?
It improved. My 5K improved. And it felt like it was going to fall off.
And you never wanted to run 5K again in your life, probably.
No, exactly. Getting the wrong relationship to running is not ideal. So but no, it's good. I mean, sometimes. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say, when it comes to physical training, what you did is actually a very good way to break through to, a resistance or kind of a stuck point, right? You just really zero in on a singular thing. Like you have to do 20 pull-ups to be able to even get into SEAL training, to have any remote chance. So you just do pull-ups every single day. You put a pull-up bar in your kitchen, and every time, or your bathroom, every time you go through it, you get up there and just max out your pull-ups, and eventually you just find that your pull-ups improve. They become normal, simple, and you can do 20 no problem. Having said that, for general training, variety is really important as well. Otherwise, you just keep, you're just grinding yourself a groove if you just do the same things all the time. And that's an issue I kind of have with most people's training programs. They don't really have an effective training program. They just kind of go to the gym and do the same things over and over, or they go to the same classes and do the same things over and over. And not only is that demotivating, but eventually you're creating movement patterns that are just going to lead to an injury or burnout. So variety is very good, as you guys are probably aware.
Love to hear your thoughts on the place of recovery as part of your weekly, monthly training. This is mainly for your sake, Ivan, and everyone else listening.
Well, of course, as Fred knows, the older we get, the more we value recovery because the body demands it. Having said that, research is starting to realize that recovery is extremely important, even for young elite athletes, in their late teens and 20s and even 30s. And recovery is really a mindset. It doesn't have to be like an equal amount of time. Let's say you do a 2.5-hour Sealfit grind, just intense grind workout. And these workouts have been proven, we call them the operator WODs, or workouts of the day. And if you do that 3 to 5 times a week and you do it for 3 to 6 months, I mean, you are going to be, in the best shape probably ever, and most well-rounded shape, because you're focusing on strength, stamina, work capacity, endurance, durability, and mental toughness. Having said that, if you don't take a day of active recovery and a day off every week, a full day off, you will just grind yourself, into a huge rut. And then having at the end of your training period, whether it's 3 months or 6 months, depending upon your capacity, you're going to need to take time off as well. Like it's just not something you can just continue to do. You have to take time and just really change up the paradigm, and let your body and your nervous system and your metabolic system, all the systems, kind of reset and recover. And when you do that, you come back much stronger, much stronger. So I think there's recovery has, like you alluded to, a daily aspect to it. Like, what are you going to do each day to go in and to check in and to really recover from whatever hardship or training or pressure that you put on, or stress that you induce. And that might be just 20 minutes of breathing. And then every week you're going to want to have a active recovery day, which is where you kind of throttle down, but you still work. And so that might be like a long walk or a swim or yoga. and then you want a day of rest. The day of rest doesn't mean you do nothing. It just means you're really not taxing the system. So you might just do some stretching, some qigong, some tai chi. You know, that'd be the day to practice your katas in taekwondo, but not in a really intense, rigorous way, but just more like mentally, you know, slow, smooth as fast kind of way. And that really gives your nervous system a total reset. It helps your immune system and whatnot. And then, you know, look at the same thing at a quarterly level, monthly and quarterly. What are your days? Or, you know, maybe take 2 days off a month, and then every quarter you take a week of just active recovery and, you know, downloading. We call them deload weeks.
Yeah, deloads, yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's really important. And it can't be overstated, because most people are prone toward action, and recovery feels like non-action. It feels like you're not doing anything. And if you change your mindset around that and recognize that recovery is as important as the work, and in fact, it enhances the work, and the work without the recovery will lead to a degradation in your performance, then you can start to enjoy the recovery for what it is. It's a super important part of your training.
Thanks for sharing that. That means a lot to come from you and not only from me. Charlie, any questions?
Like my son listens to about 5% of what I say, but over time I see him starting to finally get it, and he's 20 right now. So
great. Charlie, any thoughts from your side?
Well, yeah, but I know that you invest a lot in yourself, and our podcast name is called Invest in You, which is quite fitting. So, like, what does investing in yourself mean to you?
Well, my philosophy is master the self in service to others. Mastery of the self requires investment of time, energy, focus, mental power, emotional awareness, and money. And this precedes the service to others until you have reached a level of mastery where they become sort of a simultaneous thing. You work every day in doing things that are going to improve and evolve yourself while simultaneously serving others, and they're mutually supportive. But if you go out and you haven't invested in yourself and you attempt to serve others in whatever way is meaningful to you, then often that service falls flat, because it's done from a place where you're not 100% prepared, body, mind, and spirit. You may be doing it for you know, egoic needs, or to impress people, or because, you know, your college entrance exams or applications ask for your service, and so you're doing it, you know, for some transactional need, and then that's going to fall flat. It's not going to support your growth. So service and self-mastery are both really important, but mastery of the self, in my view, is preeminent, because if you're broken or you're not coming from the right place, then the service falls flat, like I said. So how do I invest in myself? Probably the biggest way is time. You know, everyone is so distracted and overcommitted that they tend to think, well, I don't really have time to do meditation. I don't have time to also move my body in a integrative way, like through somatic movement, like yoga or Tai Chi or a martial art. Or I don't have time to get to the gym and do my strength training and work capacity and durability. And that's all bullshit, right? Because what happens is when you actually carve out the time, you're getting all that recovery benefit that we already talked about, but you're also restoring, you're energizing, you're clarifying your mind, you're developing yourself, you're mastering yourself, so that when you go out and then fulfill your commitments, you're much more powerful, much more focused. And more importantly, you're able to say no. You've got the self-confidence and the clarity to say no to things that aren't really aligned with your calling, your duty, or your passion. Yeah. And what happens is you tend to find yourself with a lot more time on the other end, right? Because now all of a sudden you're not wasting your time with unproductive or unaligned people, things, and commitments, right? So it works kind of in a mutually supportive way. The more time you spend mastering yourself and investing in yourself, the more time you save doing the right thing for the right reasons. And also you save a lot of time by not chasing things down rabbit holes that you shouldn't even be chasing to begin with.
Yeah. Charlie is towards the end of the first version of a book. We'd love to hear more about your forthcoming book, Staring Down the Wolf. I love the title, love the front page. some high-level ideas. And guys, wherever you listen to this book will be available early March 2020.
Yeah, this is the this is what it looks like. The title came from actually my book Unbeatable Mind has a picture of me staring down the wolf. I don't know if you can see it behind me. And really that is a reference to staring down your fears and your shadow and the emotional issues that hold you back. The book is written for leaders, and leaders can be, anywhere from, like guys your age, Ivan, Charlie, all the way up to, Fred and I leading organizations and doing important things in life, which we are all doing. And my insights are that, no matter how effective we think we are, it's our emotional baggage that tends to block elite level performance in the team, because the team gets the full brunt of all your emotional baggage and your emotional shadow and your projections and, emotional lack of awareness, even though you might be ignorant to them. And so I have these things called in the book, I discuss these 7 commitments that a leader in a team and his or her team can make to really help the team flourish and find that 20x potential, that 20 times potential. And those are courage, trust, respect, growth, excellence, resiliency, and alignment. And then I also, and I have some great stories from some, special operators and operations on how those commitments are really upheld and what do they look like. But then I juxtapose that against my own leadership experiences where my shadow emotional baggage got in the way and I wasn't able to uphold that commitment, and things broke down, like trust broke down or respect broke down.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of showing this yin and yang, that we can try to do great things, but if we don't also take time to cultivate our self-awareness and our emotional development, then we will thwart our own progress, so to speak. So that's what Staring Down the Wolf is about. I think I'm really excited about the book. It's kind of the most vulnerable I've been. And as you know, military guys don't like to be vulnerable necessarily.
I know. Yeah. No, I know. And I could feel that when you spoke about it as well, talk about your own failure as well. I mean, I've written a book about trust. That's also really put yourself on a pedestal, and really people will use that against you if you fail with any matter of it, obviously. And that's something we have to take.
That's right. I think it's the next frontier for leadership development, is to really cultivate the authenticity so that you can take the masks off and stop pretending to be perfect, and, admit your failures, admit when you're wrong, and everyone can grow with and through that team experience when everyone, begins to support each other and get out of their ego, right? So in order to do that, we've got to develop past the egoic and even the tribal sense of self. We have to open up to more the connection that we all share, and then also honor our differences, but not separate because of them. So.
Team Sweden, thoughts?
Sorry?
Team Sweden, thoughts, questions that springs to mind?
You're in deep contemplation.
I'm pretty sure that when you're in the Navy SEALs, you get to work in some pretty amazing places. So is there like any particular place that has been especially interesting that you've worked in?
Yeah, I'm not sure I would use the term amazing.
But interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of dumpy places, and dumpy is I would use a different term, but I don't want to damage your 14-year-old ears.
Yeah.
Been in over like 50 some odd countries, and usually in the worst places in those countries. But I really enjoyed working throughout East Asia, like some really interesting and nice people. The cultures are very cool over there, very different. And also, I spent a lot of time in the Middle East, which I'm really glad I did, because, it's easy to misunderstand Middle Eastern cultures if you just view it from the lens of the network TV and, warfare and everything that's been going on, which is what we get fed. But, there's some beautiful people over there. And also, kind of like back to what I was saying in my book about my book, or the traveling itself, especially being a military operator, you really get to see the best and the worst of humanity.
Yeah.
And you recognize that, those energies exist in everybody, right? So,
Yeah.
some of the best people have the most evil intentions deep inside, and some of the worst people have the propensity for great good. And so really is kind of that balance between the light and the dark, the negative and the positive, good versus evil exists in all humans. And so it's incumbent upon us to really try to work on ourselves to bring out our best every day and to bring out the best in our teams and our families until you eradicate the preconditioned negative tendencies. And that's one of the biggest challenges with war-torn areas or places that are really poverty-stricken or that are just influenced by a lot of negativity, such as, despotic regimes and whatnot, is that it's the individuals don't necessarily have the privilege of doing what we're doing, to listen to podcasts and to read great books and to be inspired by other people, which helps people like elevate themselves and eradicate negative tendencies. And so sometimes they can be trapped in these cycles of negativity, which can go through, generationally through families or tribes or places. And it can be hard to break out of that, So it gives you great
negativity. You can't see beyond it.
That's right. Yeah. You get really stuck. And so I think that's why I have a very, very positive view of the future, because I think, social media and the internet, and for all its flaws, has disseminated truth and will continue to disseminate truth throughout the world. And that light does, essentially push away darkness over time. The more information, the more people are exposed to good thinking and good role models, and more and more people will step up and haul their communities and their cultures out of negative tailspins.
I'll share a secret weapon with you guys, and the secret weapon is a little bit linked to the staring down the wolf, but it's actually the power of a smile. It can work in a very hostile environment. You work in negotiation, you can work with the tribal leaders, you can work with anyone. Share a story of where the power of the smile was really serving you well.
Well, it served me well a lot.
I can see.
Even in a, like you said, in warfare or in environments where there's very little trust. One way to engender trust is a heartfelt smile, not a fake smile, but like a genuine, smile that comes from the heart, which is felt and seen in the eyes, right? It's not so much about the lips or the, how the mouth moves, but it's felt to the eyes in a genuine heartfelt connection. One of the things that I've learned through my many years of meditation is that we are all interconnected. We all are connected in this kind of vast web, and our minds have this intense power, right, to include or exclude. And just the thought of being inclusive and genuinely connecting someone at a heart level with a smile will bring them into a co-created space of, positive energy, and it's uplifting. And it is super powerful. I'm not talking about, positive psychobabble, right? It's just at the energetic, the subtle level of the human experience, in the divine matrix, so to speak, positive energy will connect, will connect and radiate positive energy out, just like negative energy will. So the more you can bring that positive energy into your own field as a daily practice, then the more you'll see things are positive and people will be responding positively. And smiling is a great way to do that.
Great.
Yeah, great question though. Yeah, thank you.
Charlie or Ivan, we've got like two questions each. One each only.
Okay. How about what are like one of your favorite exercises without weights? Because I do a lot of body weight training, so I'm interested if any of those exercises you do.
Body weight or loaded?
Body weight.
Body weight, burpee. Burpee is my favorite exercise. We have a foundation called the Courage Foundation, which raises money and awareness for vets who are suffering from post-traumatic stress, as well as putting them through, small cohorts through integrated, training that includes our Unbeatable Mind training. And I challenged our tribe to do 22 million burpees in 2018, and we got to 20 million. So we're still chipping away. and I did
How many people are in
130.
this?
Isn't that great? So the burpee is a complete body exercise, right?
Yeah.
So you're dropping, you're doing a full push up, you're jumping to a squat, then you're doing a jump. So you're getting the plyometric, you're getting a squat, you're getting, so all the strengthening of ankles, knees, hips, spine, shoulders, chest. It's just an extraordinary exercise. And the only equipment you need is your body, right? That's why body weight is so effective training, because it's no excuses training. You know, wherever you go, there you are. You carry your gym with you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice.
Did I hear a number there for 2019 for yourself?
I did 130,000 burpees in 2018.
That's quite extraordinary.
Every one of them was awesome. And I still do 100 a day. I just like the fly.
Yeah, great.
It's like brushing your teeth. Just do burpees every day, and you'll be good to go.
Perfect. Good one. Ivan, last question from your side.
Wow. Wait a bit.
While you think about it, I'll let you, Mark, talk about how can people find you, or follow your work, and recommendations, etc.
Well, a lot of people are enjoying our podcast. It's the Unbeatable Mind, or Mark Divine's Unbeatable Mind podcast. Yeah. And it's on iTunes and Stitcher, basically wherever podcasts are found.
Yeah.
And then my personal website is markdivine.com. And so I have a blog there, and we post the podcast there. So that's a good place to find me. And if anyone's interested in the hardcore Sealfit training, then our website is Sealfit, SEALFIT.com. Yeah. And our leadership development program for corporate executive leaders, entrepreneurs, and teams is called unbeatablemind.com. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Is your 8-week training program on Amazon, is that suitable for Ivan? He's already super fit to get some inspiration.
Yeah. The 8 weeks of Sealfit program is actually much longer than 8 weeks, but the meat and potatoes, the hardest part, is an 8 weeks section where we do the operator workouts. But we have a body weight on ramp, and then we have a program to kind of a scaled weight program, which would be appropriate for more of a teenager.
Yeah.
And the loads prescribed for the operator WOD are really designed for, uber fit 24-year-old Navy SEAL type people. So it'd be aspirational to work toward that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but the workouts are great. I would do them, like I said, 3 times a week instead of the prescribed 5, for beginners.
Yeah, awesome.
And it'd be good for dad to do them with him.
Yeah, I like it. Great stuff. Ivan, did you come up with a last question from your side?
Yeah, I did. Do you lift a lot of weights when it comes to your Sealfit stuff? Because I hear some people talking about, it's just running and endurance and mental. And then some people say, strength is really important because it helps your work capacity. And what's your take on that?
Yeah, there's a lot of strength training in the program. Every workout has a strength, most every workout has a strength component. And even in the stamina component, we're moving weight. We're just moving weight at a lighter load and different types of odd objects, more like sandbags and kettlebells. But we use barbell training and also any type of like a heavy object for strength training. And we focus really on the major compound lifts, such as deadlift, back squat, front squat, bench press. And we do also do Olympic, so like the clean and jerk. I don't do as much of that personally anymore, mostly because of my own training and time commitments. I spend a lot more time doing my martial arts and a keto, which is a keto, as well as meditation and yoga. And so my physical training, even though I do weighted training, it's collapsed down to 45 minutes or so a day, 5-6 days a week.
Yeah. So we're about to cut off here. We have spent the 40 minutes we had. Super thank you from London and Sweden. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you doing what you're doing. So keep investing in yourselves.
Perfect. Well, we'll let you know when this is live. And thank you one more time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Until next time. Cheers.
Take care. There we go.